Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the inaugural Santa Barbara Basketball Court of Champions. Thank you for coming tonight, and what a distinguished guest list we have. A little bit about the Santa Barbara Court of Champions. It has been established to recognize and honor individuals from our Santa Barbara community who have achieved and or made significant contributions to the game of basketball. There is an unlimited variety of contributors, coaches, players, administrators, community mentors, entertainers, medical personnel, financial supporters, team management, team organizational owners, media, journalists, I could probably stop right there, and public speakers who have foundationally served as the grassroots for Santa Barbara over many, many decades. In concert with recognizing and honoring outstanding dignitaries, both past and present, the Court of Champions also places a high standard of responsibility on assisting our youth basketball participants with this great game as they develop and rise through the ranks of elementary, junior, senior high school, collegiate basketball, and the good Lord willing, the National Basketball Association. This support is provided with the infrastructure of basketball clinics, camps, motivational workshops, and college scholarship funds. The Santa Barbara Basketball Court of Champions is a community endeavor, a family for all people and all ages. Should be, ladies and gentlemen, what a distinct pleasure and honor it is for the city of Santa Barbara to welcome Jerry West.
First of all, thanks for having me here tonight. Obviously, the four people here I know really well, and we'll have a chance to say a few words about them. This is going to be a long evening, and so we're going to try to keep it brief as possible. But two people I particularly want to recognize: Don Ford, who had an opportunity to coach in Los Angeles and had a terrific career for us, did all the things that really helped us win, and also one of my all-time favorite players, Jamal Wilkes. So. It's pretty cool to have two guys from Santa Barbara that play for the Lakers, I'll say that. There's only been one from Cabin Creek, West Virginia. So. Anyway, one other person I'd like to acknowledge here is Brian Shaw. Where are you, Brian? Somebody asked me a question a couple of minutes, 30 minutes ago, asked me about Brian when he was here at college. And I had a chance to see Brian play a lot, and the Boston Celtics drafted him right before we did. And this guy, this gentleman asked me if we were going to draft him. I said, oh, no. Brian, you were going to be a Laker. Well, you got there eventually anyway. But, this night is not about me at all. It's about all the people in Santa Barbara who made a name for themselves in the world of sports, a lot of different sports. But two people in particular here that I really want to mention, people I've known, both Bill Burka and Gary Colson. They came to the West in covered wagons. They're so damn old. And unfortunately, I'm right here with them. But I'll tell you, Bill Burka, let's start with him first. My God, what a great person he is. I've known him and loved him for years. I usually don't use that word very much, but one of the most unique men I've ever met in my life, the most loyal, trustworthy person in the world. You had a chance to be around him as much as I did. Through a lot of great times, but some really miserable times when you lose. You understand what kind of person he is. And Bert, my God, I really don't know what to say about you. Just thanks for being a great friend. More importantly, someone that I've had a chance to spend a lot of intimate time with, and I just admire tremendously. He doesn't get enough credit for the work he did with the Lakers. And everyone that asked me about you, I said you was your best. This next gentleman on my right over here, Mr. Colson. I've known him a long time, okay? And years ago, when he played the All-Star game, this was one of the worst things I've ever heard in my life. But I was always into giving away gifts that I received in the All-Star game, and I got a ring, okay? Everyone got a ring. And people today would love to have this ring, but I I think, if I'm not mistaken, Gary, it's in the harbor of Marina Del Rey, is that correct? So I gave him this ring to wear, and he lost it in the damn harbor. Okay? So, Gary, that probably cost you a few number of thousands of dollars. So thanks again for having wooden hands. But this guy's one of the greatest people I've ever met in my life. He's really a public servant, loves to do things for people, and his heart is big as this room. Boy, have we shared a lot together. But more importantly, our friendship was the greatest thing that we did share. Gary, thanks for being a big part of my life. You're just the best. And for me to have been associated with these people for so many years in my life, pretty amazing, really. And to still feel the same way that I have for all these years about them is even more remarkable. But thank you very much for having me here.
Don Volpe was just a legend. Dos Pueblos High School basketball coach and teacher of 25 years. He was named All-Europe and All-Pacific Coast as a player in the Air Force. Team captain and most valuable player for the UCSB Gauchos in 1960, and that team was 18-7 and tied for the California Collegiate Athletic Association Championship. He also lettered 1 year at BYU, coached the UCSB freshman team the next year, hired in 1966 to start the Dos Pueblos basketball program, and coached at Dos Pueblos High School for 10 years. In the 1970-71 season, Coach Volpe reached the pinnacle of his career, a CIF AAA Division Championship, and that team finished the year 27-2. Here, ladies and gentlemen, Coach Don Volpe. Next inductee, Phil Patton. And when you talk about the Patton name in Santa Barbara, you're talking about legendary media names, and Phil was the very first. Phil joined actually the U.S. Navy upon his graduation from Cathedral Latin High School in 1944. He served in both the Atlantic and Pacific campaigns as an electrician's mate aboard the USS Zellers, a destroyer that was heavily damaged during a kamikaze attack at Okinawa, which took the lives of 42 of his shipmates. Well, Phil came to Santa Barbara and to the Santa Barbara News Press in August of 1954 as a co-sports editor. He was soon elevated to sports editor and wrote his Patton's Press Box column for 16 years, covered UCSB athletics from 1954 until 1970, and was the original voice of the UCSB Gauchos radio play-by-play for both football and basketball from 1959 to 1970. And Mark Patton, a great friend of mine, was telling me his father broadcast the first game ever at Rob Gym over at UCSB, the first basketball game in 1959, and who did they play? They played the defending national champion California Golden Bears. So how's that for an opener? Ladies and gentlemen, the great Phil Patton and his son, my dear friend Mark Patton, down here.
Well, thank you, Jerry. I think anybody can appreciate what my dad had to do as both a broadcaster and a sports writer at the same time as you, because you're doing the same things right now, covering the Gauchos, doing both, and it's really a story. I think it's probably the greatest testament to a person that his son would want to be just like him. And my father passed away when I was 17. He was only 45, and he had 7 kids. And I think every one of us who is still alive still remember our father to this day with such reverence and owe so much to him. And it's amazing to me that he's still remembered like this. He passed away in 1971. And so I really appreciate it, all of you who remember my father this way. He was a great man, a good father, a great father. But anyway, thank you so much, everybody, for recognizing my father this way. It truly means a lot to me and my family. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next inductee, boy, I'll tell you, you talk about a local legend, longtime girls basketball coach at Santa Barbara High School, Mr. Andrew Butcher.
I just have a couple of words. It's amazing that throwing a ball to a round hoop has brought everybody to this night. And we all have that in common, and great things have come of it. So thank you for the award, and I just appreciate it. Thank you.
the very best, one of the greatest to ever play for another inductee tonight, Mark French, the great coach at UCSB, Aaron Alexander Brown.
I just want to take this opportunity to thank the selection committee for selecting me. I look at this group of people that are up here tonight, and I wonder, quite frankly, where I fit in. But there is one thing that we all have in common, is that we love the sport of basketball, whether we played it or coached it. And not just because it's a fun sport to play or to coach, but because of what it brought to our lives in terms of the lessons we've learned. You know, basketball for me was practice for real life. You had to learn how to achieve a common goal with people maybe you didn't get along with, or people that you didn't necessarily see eye to eye with, or you know, in really difficult circumstances. And that's why I saw basketball in my life. I believe the success that I have in my life is due to the time that I spent at UCSB. And luckily, my coach, I get to sit next to tonight, and I want to take this opportunity to publicly thank him for the role that he had in my life.
Jerry Pym, 395 career victories.
Some of my failures, Jamal Wilkes was a failure. He didn't come to Utah. Don Ford was also a failure. He didn't come. Bartholomew didn't come, didn't even want to come visit. A lot of these guys really griped me when they were high school seniors. And the thing that I'm most proud of about UCSB is, yes, we won some games. We got to the NCAA tournament, but the town was ready for some success, and they were really willing to go out on a limb and give us the money necessary to recruit and to do the things we did. And it's a great basketball town. Curt and Eric, and what you've done is really a great thing for this city, and I hope it grows and becomes better and better and bigger as the years go. And thanks for what you've done with me tonight. I appreciate it. Thanks, Curt.
He's a class man. He's the coach of the Denver Nuggets. He's made a lot of people in Santa Barbara root not only for the Lakers, but for the Denver Nuggets. Mr. Brian Shaw.
I've always been a person that kind of laid back in the cut and just kind of observed everything that went on. And most of these people up here don't realize what they really meant to me. I was sharing with Don Ford when Ben Howland called me on the phone to come here on a recruiting trip. I didn't know very much about UCSB, and one of the questions I asked him, I said, "Well, who that played at UCSB ever made it to the NBA?" And he told me Don Ford, and so I kind of perked up a little bit, and I was like, "Oh, okay." And that phone call with Ben, my recruiting trip here, and then obviously my parents feeling comfortable with Coach Pym and Ben, turning me over to them, for their guidance during my time here at Santa Barbara was everything. And the fact that over all of these years we have stayed connected and in contact, means the world to me, especially with my family not being here anymore. Growing up in Oakland, with when Jamal Wilkes, who was Keith Wilkes then, in 1975, being when the Warriors won the championship, I was a big Warrior fan, and just the connection once I found out that he was from Santa Barbara as well, and who couldn't get fired up when I was playing in the games and knowing that Jerry West was in the crowd watching us play, to want to put on a good show for him, and possibly maybe catch his eye and become part of the Lakers. Even, Coach French, and watching him, how he turned that program around. They weren't very good when I first got to Santa Barbara, and I remember shortly after I left, seeing them making the NC2A tournament year after year again. Coach Colson, Coach Cunningham, and all these guys who played the game, coached the game, and now I look at myself and, I'm a coach. I played, now I'm a coach, and just kind of following in their footsteps, and once again, sitting back in the cut, just picking their brains and taking little things from them that are making me what I am today. So I thank you all so much for everything that you've provided for me, even though you guys don't really realize that what you've done for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Vic Bartolome.
Thank you very much. Best place in the world to play, Santa Barbara, California. The best mentors anybody could have. Coach Cabero and Santa Barbara High School, the Dons. I see Roberto Nelson here. He had an excellent career at Oregon State University. I was pulling for you all the way. Going from a long, lanky baseball player that couldn't hit anything. 6'9", I think it was time to change careers. Unfortunately, one of those life's things that come along. Jack Triguero was what saved me in my career by switching from baseball to basketball, and the rest was, what we say, history. It's not an excellent career. Thank you very much for being part of this wonderful group. Thank you very much.
Sal, to this day, still holds the record for fouling out of the most games. Sal, I didn't write that. Might be why you scored so many points, Sal. But Sal was inducted in the San Marcos Hall of Fame in 1966, and he has done so much more. The list goes on and on. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sal Rodriguez.
I want to thank the committee who put this together. I thought it's a great idea. Curt Pickering and Burkhardt and Gary Paul, all you guys, it's a great tribute to all the people up here, and I commend you guys for doing this. I think it's going to get bigger and better. It's a great job. Thank you guys. Okay. Really quick story. I had my coach, Maury Halleck, 1959 to 62, and he led us to the finals in 61, and we lost. Sorry about that, Maury. Also, one more, Coach Howland. He played in the Tomahawk League. He took 46 shots in one game. But anyway, thank you guys. It's a great evening, and I'm honored to be up here. I don't know where I fit in, but I'll take it. Thank you.
Our next inductee is Mr. Jack Triguero. Jack was 240 and 90 in 14 seasons as Santa Barbara High School's head coach. His teams won 5 Channel League titles, and 3 of his players went to the NBA, and there's a couple sitting to my left over here right now. His teams were known for their discipline, their well-precision controlling of the offense, aggressive defense, very sound fundamentals, and being very, very unselfish.
Thank you. I'd like to congratulate all the inductees. Thank you very much.
Our next inductee, Westmont women's basketball coach, Kirsten Moore. Kirsten was the head coach and has been the head coach at Westmont, and boy, did she bring the team to the top. She brought the team to the national championship. How much higher do you get than that? The NAIA National Championship, and that came in the 2012-2013 campaign when the Warriors were 30-4.
It is a real honor to be here with the amazing people that are up here tonight and all the things that they have accomplished. And I really feel like I am the beneficiary of the people in this community that went before me and really established a community that would embrace basketball and care about athletics and what it can bring to young people's lives as we try and impact the young people that I have the opportunity to work with as a coach. Specifically, Coach French and just bringing women's basketball to the forefront of this community, and that I got to come into a community right from the beginning that was going to embrace what females can do as athletes, and I'm still pretty young in my career, and I know that I'm up here really for one reason and one reason only, and that's that we won a national championship, which I know is something I may not ever have the chance to do again. I hope that we can accomplish that, but so many things have to come into alignment to make that happen. And I think what I want to share is that I recognize I'm up here for that, but what I want to share with all of you as this community, that I realized that that national championship was not something that I earned. That national championship was something that we did. When my husband passed away, right before we headed into that season, this community came around me unlike anything I ever could have imagined. Supported me, supported my team as we fought and competed to try to be our best and to make the run that we did and to have the story that we did. We wouldn't have done it without the love and support of so many of you that came alongside of us and really empowered us to believe in ourselves and to do that. And so I want to say thank you to you, and as we're also up here having the opportunity to thank people that helped us get here, I want to thank my incredible family and friends, and also I'm extremely thankful for personal faith that allowed me to stand on God's promises that He can work all things, even the really hard things, for the good of those who love Him. So, thank you.
Coach French holds UCSB records for most coaching victories by a women's basketball coach with 438, and for highest winning percentage of 69%. He guided the Gauchos to 15 postseason appearances, including 13 in a row at one point, and 12 NCAA tournament appearances, including 9 straight. He coached the Gauchos to 12 Big West tournament championships and 13 regular season championships, and named the Big West Coach of the Year a record 7 times. His players were named Big West Player of the Year 9 times, and he produced 5 All-Americans and 25 first-team All-Big West selections. He coached 6 student athletes who went on to play in the WNBA. Ladies and gentlemen, Mark French.
One of the things that I value so much about Santa Barbara is that the sporting community always rallies around each other. And what a wonderful place for me to bring up my family and for me to have the opportunity to coach and mentor wonderful young women like Erin and so many of the other Gauchos. The Santa Barbara Athletic Roundtable and now the Court of Honor are indicative of how much we care about our own here in this community. And it's been a privilege and an honor for me to spend all these years here. And again, thank you to the committee.
Ladies and gentlemen, Holly Emerson Ford.
Thank you, everybody. I have a few notes. I haven't given a speech. So it starts off by saying no regrets. I had a saying in high school and college that I wanted to live with no regrets and play with no regret. I wanted to uphold the golden rule, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. I wanted to live in a way that's honoring and pleasing to God. I also very much wanted to play every second of every practice and every second of every game like it was my last. Go after the ball, play hard, and trying to get beat. Talk to your teammates, run the plays like Coach wanted. Andrew here was my coach. I have the honor of saying that. And gosh darn it, I wanted to win. You might wonder how 2 kids from one family, because my brother is inducted in this too, as you know, Don, can make it into a prestigious court of honor like this. It started with Rick Ford, an only child, and Barbara Burst, who had one sister. They were high school sweethearts at Santa Barbara High School. They both wanted a big family because they didn't have a big family. They had 5 kids, of which I'm the baby. These are my parents. They encouraged us to play hard and fair, and even if they didn't know if they had the money for new school clothes in the fall every year, they showered us with love and played outside with us and told us they expected a lot of us and modeled honesty and hard work. They were both athletic, and as my dad used to say, Mom could hit a softball, country mom.
Our next inductee, ladies and gentlemen, also happy birthday, Maury Halleck. Maury, 84 years old. Wow. Maury grew up in the state of Washington, went to Western Washington University, graduated there in 1995. He married his lovely wife, Mary Lorraine, and they have 4 children, Bradley, Kevin, Maureen, and Brian, and 12 grandchildren. Maury moved to Santa Barbara in the summer of 1956. He coached Santa Barbara High football and basketball from 56 to 58. Started coaching football and basketball at San Marcos High School when the school opened in 1958. He served as the head basketball coach from 1958 to 1981. Wow, what a great run, Maury. Retired from San Marcos High in 1989. Maury also served during his tenure at San Marcos as athletic director, football coach, and as mentioned, basketball coach, but also tennis coach and softball coach. And in 1980-81, San Marcos Runnin' Royals lost in the CIF 4A championship game to finish 26-1. That season. Ladies and gentlemen, happy birthday to Maury Halleck and congratulations to you.
You know, I'm so proud to be here and see all the people, see all these people up at this table that are great people. And I'm so proud of my wife of 59 years. I'm proud of my 4 kids. I love them very much. And the most thing that I get out of this is that I'm proud to see my friends, and I'm proud that you're our basketball family. Thank you very much for having me here. I really enjoy it. Thank you.
Our next inductee is Mr. John Moore, the Westmont men's basketball coach for the last 512 years, I think, right, John?
I want to start by thanking Andrew Butcher for giving me his 2 minutes. This will be a 5-minute talk, so 3-minute talk. Sorry, Pick. And thank you to the Curt Pickering, what a visionary, and the rest of the committee. I think you did a very fine job. I think there's probably naysayers as to who you brought in, but it's a tough job, and I think you did a super job, aside from one glaring choice, and that was yours truly. I wrote some things down like Holly did, just because I think it goes better when I don't try to do it ad lib. It was 1964. As a family, we were living in Tokyo, and the Olympics came to town. I was a young boy and vividly remember the U.S. Olympic basketball team coming to our home for dinner. The team was coached by the great Hank Iba and had such stars as Gail Goodrich, Walt Hazzard, Bill Bradley, Larry Brown, and Lucius Jackson. It's where my fascination for the game of basketball began. My mom, who is here, is from Muncie, Indiana, and suffers from Hoosier hysteria, would disagree. She would say my love for basketball came long before that. I was born into basketball madness. Who knows? What I do know is this game of basketball is the greatest game ever invented. When I came to Westmont as a student athlete, I had no idea the gem that I stumbled upon. When I graduated, I couldn't wait to return. Quite a few years later, I was able to find my way back to what was and continues to be my dream job. So thanks to basketball, and thanks to Westmont. And then I have my highest thank you to pass on to my wife and 2 daughters. It's not easy to be a coach's wife. I'm sure there have been times Rachel, my wife who's here, has felt like a single mom. But she's been the perfect wife for me because she, have loved me through it all. So what you have here is a great game, best ever. Next, the family and community, both at Westmont and the Santa Barbara community, who have offered me tremendous love and support. And lastly, faith. I am convinced I am who I am today because of the love God has shown me and the faith in Him I have secured. It's an incredible privilege, as I said earlier. I don't know why I'm up here, but as Sal said a moment ago, I'll take it. So thanks so much.
Marked by so many incredible achievements at UCLA, at Fresno State, at Wyoming, and at UCSB. Mr. Gary Cunningham.
Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate all that stuff. I want to thank the committee and thank Curt Pickering for honoring me tonight. I feel humbled with this wonderful group of superstars up here. Basketball's meant a lot to us, and I want to congratulate everybody on the dais. If the game of basketball didn't exist, we wouldn't be here. And Dr. James Naismith, many, many years ago, he was trying to figure out something to do between football and baseball season in cold weather, and he invited the game of basketball with a peach basket and the original 13 rules. The game has changed a lot since then. We have shot clock, we have glass backboards, we have a number of things that has changed. But we all love the game. Players have gotten bigger, stronger, but the game is still the game. It's a great game, and all of these people, some of these people sitting up here are superstars, played, coached, achieved. But what amazes me is the size of our community. We are not a big community. I mean, if you went from, say, Carpinteria to Goleta, there's probably 140,000 people. And you look at the list of athletes that we have put out from our community, it's incredible. Basketball, football, tennis, and so on. Just a number of them, and it's a tribute to the coaches in this community, you folks in the room who are committed to youth, and it's been a great ride. And so I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to receive this award, and I'm most appreciative, and I'm not going to talk too long. Thank you.
Our next inductee to the Santa Barbara Court of Champions is Mr. Ben Howland.
First, after listening to Holly speak today, after listening to her attitude and everything that she stands for, Don had stand for just half of it. He might have really been a special player. So it's really unfortunate that that wasn't, switched between the two. Sal got it wrong. I took 48 shots in one game. And I'm very proud of that fact. I understood my role. But I really am excited about tonight. I really want to thank Curt, and I want to thank Eric and the rest of the committee for putting together an event which really honors basketball in the Santa Barbara community. And you can see by all the people up here on the dais how rich a tradition and how a great history of basketball as coaches, as players, etc., has come from this community. And I am so proud to be a kid that grew up here and grew up a part of this community and learning from so many coaches and looking up to so many players. As I remember, I graduated in 1975 from high school, so Jamal and Don were local players here ahead of me by a few years, and really looked up to them. Unbelievable teams. I grew up watching the 71 teams that Don coached to the CI Championship, Richard Stein, Bruce Colvin, etc. So that was always fun for me. I want to thank Sal. I grew up in the boys club, and that's where I really learned to love the game of basketball, and he was my first coach. Larry Branish was my coach and allowed me 48 shots, so I have to mention his name. And I want to thank Ed DeLacy. I played for Ed DeLacy here at Santa Barbara City College. He did a wonderful job at City College here, and really appreciate everything he taught me about the game. And it's really an honor for me, especially tonight, to be going in with my former boss, who gave me my first big break, Jerry Penn. I worked for Coach for 11 years and learned so much about the game and about the business of college basketball, and will always be indebted to him for giving me my first big opportunity. And we were both very fortunate to coach a number of great players when I worked for him, notably probably two of the best ever from UCSB right here, Brian Shaw and Curt. And it was just a joy to coach these two guys right here, to be a part of that staff. I remember UCSB, the game that really, I thought, set us on a great path of success was the win over NC State. I'll never forget that game. And I remember Jerry West came up to scout that game and was here watching Brian, Brian and Carrick and Eric and the rest of our group. But to have 22 points, 20 rebounds, and 10 assists in the game. That was a triple-double before that was really a well-known stat, and that was unbelievably special. And then the one thing I'll always remember about Carrick was the game in his senior year in 1990 when we beat UNLV the year they won it. And he had sprained his ankle badly, I mean bad, the day before we were going to play the game. I thought no shot to be able to play. And he and our trainer, Harry Callahan, did an unbelievable job rehabbing his foot to get him to be able to play. He ended up getting 26 points, one of the great games in the history of the Thunderdome. So I'm really, really thankful and honored to be here tonight. It's really wonderful to have all of you here to come out and support this, and really, really appreciate everyone that's here. Thank you.
Mr. Santa Barbara, ladies and gentlemen, Larry Crandell. Larry played 3 years at Syracuse, and you could take all the basketball stats, the numbers, everything he did there. I think they pale in comparison to this next one. One estimate puts his work as an MC, as a community leader, a contributor in this community. One estimate puts the amount of money that Larry Crandell has raised for charity at more than $200 million. His contributions to Hoops in Santa Barbara was mostly as an MC, auctioneer, fundraiser, and community supporter. He supported all of the local programs at college and high school levels. The gym at the Page Youth Center is named after our inductee, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Larry Crandell.
If I had any class, I'd sit down without saying a word. Can I try it? How many of you would like? But I would like to tell you that I had a wonderful experience in the war and getting the Purple Heart and some other decorations. And they released me early, so I got back and had a year at UCSB in 44-45 while the war was still on in Europe. And the coach tried very hard to work with us, but most of the really good players were still busy fighting in Japanese. And finally I came up with a slogan that inspired the whole team. At the start of one of the games, they got the ball around to me, and I try to remember, make sure you shoot it strongly enough so that at least hits the rim. So I put enough oomph on it to clear the front of the rim, clear the back of the rim, and clear the entire backboard. As it softly landed in the bleachers, some mean person yelled, "Shut the window."
Him a bit. You talk about a giving person. Gave a lot of opponents headaches, but he's also given a lot of kids breaks and opportunities. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Carrick DeHart.
I want to thank everyone here, just like everyone else says, it's pretty humbling to be on stage with all these great basketball players and all the great common denominators. For me,
we've had a chance to share with different friends. We have a chance to share the experiences. We've had a chance to do all these different things in front of you. So as you walk away and you look at all of us that we've done, I think you're a part of the basketball family in Santa Barbara, which is really exemplified by unconditional relationships. The things that we did was that we cared for each other beyond anything else. Ben, we were exaggerating and talking about the story that Dad wanted you to stay away from me, so I came here because I was going to go to Kansas. But the truth of the matter is, I had different relationships. I wore Don's uniform, his jersey in high school. I was number 35. I met Eric Burkhart when I was a junior in high school at Memorial Gym when I used to go and train all the time, and he was a law student at Pepperdine. I met B. Shaw when I first started playing basketball and went up to Northern California with Bruce Pearl. You remember that? And we was getting ready to play the Boston Shootout. So all these things aren't coincidental. And today, when you look around, just make sure you know someone, you remember someone, and you remember you're part of our family. I've enjoyed immensely being a part of the Santa Barbara family. I hold it very dear to my heart. It means the most to me. I love you and thank you for having me up here on the stage.
Good job, well done. Ladies and gentlemen, our next inductee is also one of the greatest to ever play the great game of basketball, sitting directly to my left, Mr. Jamal Wilkes.
And to be inducted into the Court of Champions with all these wonderful people on the dais, these luminaries, basketball champions, and community leaders. Thank you for your support of this event and coming out, and I hope you will continue to support this event. In particular, I'm real privileged. Cedric Carrick was talking about unconditional relationships. To be inducted with Coach Triguero, Santa Barbara High School, this guy here, Don Ford, Vic Bartolome, and Holly Emerson Ford. I just have to get this out the way. Go Dons. In addition, Larry Crandell, who has meant so much to the community of Santa Barbara and the Santa Barbara Athletic Roundtable, it's a real highlight to be inducted with you and with Sal Rodriguez, the fine work you do with Boys and Girls Clubs of America. It's an honor to be inducted with you. I would also like to acknowledge people that have impacted me beyond Santa Barbara later on. Coach Cunningham, of course. It's always a treat to see you, Coach. And my friend and mentor, Billy Birdka. And Coach Howland, it's great to see you. And I know he's not being inducted tonight, but Jerry West, it's an honor to be on the same dais with you. Thank you so much.
Basketball. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Gary Colson.
Coach George Raveling came to me and wanted me to speak to Michael Jordan's camp. I've been doing a lot of clinics on shooting, and I volunteered to do it. I got to the gym that night. There were 850 kids there. It was about 9 o'clock at night, and I was in the center court, and they were all around me, and they were wired. I knew I had to get them early, okay? So I said this. I have named, I'm going to name to you 5 of the greatest basketball players that I personally have seen. You think about it to yourself. I have seen 5, and I'm going to name them right now. Of course, I started out with Michael Jordan. They went crazy. I said Kobe Bryant. And of course, I had to name my guy, Jerry West. I mean, one of the all-time great. His son Ryan's here. He's meant so much to me. And in the middle, the big guy, Wilt Chamberlain. I turned and walked away. This little 12-year-old kid said, Coach, who's the 5th one? I got down in his face and I said, you're looking at him. Where's Curt Pickering? Over here, to the right. Curt, you are the salt of the earth. I'm telling you, I've grown so admire you. In closing, I want to say thank you to my wife, Mary Catherine, here. The way I met her, I was in a coffee shop in Berkeley with a bunch of coaches, and she walked in. And I said, hold it, guys. Call off the dogs. The hunt's over.
On this next one, I don't need a script. Mr. Jerry West put it best when he spoke of Bill Burtka, and I've had the pleasure of knowing Bill for a number of years. Bill has been a great supporter of mine. He has been a wonderful friend. Bill has championship rings for every finger that God gave him. Just completed his 33rd straight year with the Los Angeles Lakers. Bill is the only coach in the history of the NBA to coach Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Shaquille O'Neal. And he is the only coach as an assistant in the history of the National Basketball Association to coach under 7 different head coaches with the same organization. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Burtka.
Congratulations to everybody up here at the head table for being inducted into the Hall of Fame. Basketball's been my life, my blood. Basketball has been the architect, not only my life, but the architect of everybody at the head table up here. It's been the factor in your lives. It's giving you your livelihood, a bouncing ball, and a basket. But what a wonderful game. And I owe everything. I am the luckiest person in the world because of basketball. When I was a kid in the YMCA, when I was 8 years old, I said, you're going to be a coach someday. That was my ambition. I'm not a scientist. I'm not brilliant. I'm not a real estate magnate or anything like that. I'm just a basketball guy. And basketball has really been good to me. And as I said, I live in Santa Barbara. How lucky can you be? I work for the Los Angeles Lakers, Dr. Jerry Buss, and people like Jerry West. How lucky can you be? I'm forever grateful what basketball has done for me and my life and living here in Santa Barbara. My wife said to me, you have a speech prepared, and I said no. And I missed the thing that I was going to do, and I'm going to do it. Because she should be standing up here with me. We've been married 58 years. I want to tell you something about Solveig. Stand up, Solveig. And from the standpoint of basketball, here is a quick story for you. For 30 years, stand up, Solveig, please. For approximately 30 years, she is the only woman in the world that ran a scouting service. She recruited young scouts or young coaches. She had people scouting for her by the name of Krzyzewski, Hubie Brown, Mike Fratello, who these people know quite well, and they're all established coaches today. Roy Williams, the coach of North Carolina, he scouted. I can't tell you how many people across the nation got their start in coaching, scouting for Bertka Views. She holds a very distinguished position in life from that, and I congratulate you, and you've been a wonderful wife for 58 years. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Don Ford.
As you look across the tables here, and I'm going to talk a little bit, I think, about some of the paths I really have crossed with some of these people here at the table. Start with Jack Triguero, of course, my high school coach, and Jamal and I sitting here reminiscing. And I think maybe Jack helped me most with discipline because he loved to discipline you. And I know my mom sitting there at the front table loved the fact that he liked to discipline me because as a high school kid, as a teenager, maybe a little bad-tempered, ill-mannered, less so because of Jack. 30 years, probably at the boys club. I mean, he touched a lot of players. It was important in their lives and really helped mold them. Coach Cunningham, I first saw Gary Cunningham my senior year of high school because UCLA sent him to look at me to see if they'd be interested in recruiting me. There was a little buzz in the warm-up line. You know, hey, UCLA's in town. They're looking at you, Don. I went out and had the worst high school game of my career. Totally melted and folded under the pressure, and I watched Gary walk away at halftime. But years later, when I was a Gaucho, we went down to Pauley Pavilion, and he was the assistant coach there with John Wooden and David Myers, Marcus Johnson, Richard Washington, and we went down there, and I had a good game. And because of those other players, there was a ton of scouts, NBA scouts there, and Pete Newell being one of them, general manager of the Lakers. So I was not good enough for UCLA, but I had a good enough game at UCLA to get drafted as a junior by the Lakers. You know, there's a Laker contingency here, obviously, tonight, but there's a UCLA contingency here as well, and I was hoping to see Bill Walton here tonight. Because Jamal played alongside him for 4 years, Gary coached him, and we know he loved Ben and adored his style of play as a coach. Sorry, Ben, no Bill tonight. Once I was a Laker, I really got to know Gary because Jerry and he are very obviously best friends, good friends. So when he was coaching at Pepperdine, I would see him at a lot of our practices at the Fabulous Forum. And I knew they were great friends because they dressed alike. Now, Jerry's a great dresser. I made the mistake one time on the road making fun of a pair of shoes he had on, Jerry West. And he said, "Donnie, these shoes are more expensive than your entire wardrobe." And Donnie, I don't mean the outfit you have on. I mean your entire wardrobe. And he was right. You know, it's the late 70s, jeans and flannel shirts really weren't that expensive. So I knew that he was a great dresser. I knew he took it seriously. But I didn't know Colson did. And 82 games in a season, I saw 82 outfits of Jerry. And I started to see Colson wearing similar. So I asked him about it at a practice, and Colson opens up his jacket. And it says in the label, "Handcrafted for Jerry West." And I know he won't open that jacket tonight. And Jamal Wilkes, lucky for me to be able to play high school basketball with Jamal. He came up his senior year, my junior year. There was a rumor again around town, "Hey, Jamal Wilkes is coming to Santa Barbara High." We didn't believe it. We were afraid to believe it. Didn't believe it until I saw him first day of practice. And I knew it was true. And Jamal, you know him as a Bruin. You know him as a Warrior. You know him as a Laker. I know him as a Don. I mean, he was good at the other places. He was great at Santa Barbara High School. And he was an inspiration to me, honestly. I didn't expect to be a Jamal, but I wanted to be as good as I could be because of Jamal. Now he's a Hall of Famer. I mean, you do not get better than that. And we got to play alongside him. I see Mike Macy. Mike, Jamal, and I started together at Santa Barbara High. I can't think of a lot of high school teammates that went on and were teammates in the pros. I'm sure it's happened, but there's not a lot of them, and we did it. There was not a question that Jamal was going to make it. The question was, would I make it? And I think a part of the inspiration that Jamal gave me really did help me make it. When you all think of Jamal, you're going to think of him wearing purple and gold, the Lakers. I will always remember him wearing olive and gold, Santa Barbara High. I'll end this now thanking Jerry West. Not for coming tonight, but for trading me to Cleveland. And I thank you as a fan, because I was born here. My mom was born here. I was always a Laker fan. Transistor radio, earplugs, listening to Chick Hearn, the exploits of Jerry, Gail Goodrich, Will Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor. I mean, I loved being a fan of the Lakers. And then to be drafted by them, awesome. Playing for them for 5 years, great. Once I retired or was told I was retiring, I became a fan again of the Lakers. So I thank Jerry for sending me off to Cleveland, because in return, they got James Worthy. That's a trade. And Brian, you want to be successful? Get yourself a trade like that. I heard earlier that Gary Colson lost a ring. Jerry West, I never got a ring. And I think I kind of earned a ring in that trade. Doesn't have to be a real ring, it could be a knockoff. But as good as Magic was, and I played his first year, 60 games till I was traded. As good as Magic was with Jamal, with Kareem, with Byron, they became fantastic with James Worthy. As a fan, I thank you, Jerry. And Curt, I echo everybody here tonight. I first met Curt, by the way, when he brought the Santa Barbara Islanders to town. He was the general manager, I was the assistant coach. He's been an NBA scout. He's been the general manager. He's coached professionally. And now he's a bit of a historian locally, and I appreciate it. Thank you, Curt. Thank you, everybody.
Congratulations to all these great inductees, but my great friend Mike Klan, KEYT Sports Director.
It's been a wonderful trip down memory lane for myself and probably everybody in this audience. Just a wonderful night, and we're going to bring up Curt Pickering up here and say a few words, and him and Eric are really responsible for this night.
I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. John Moore stole a few of my minutes, so I'm going to talk real short here. It's going to be thank yous. I want to thank Tim Tremblay, Nick Zwick, Montecito Wind for supporting this event. Our selection committee, a great staff that has really helped me get through this. You know, it's been a real journey, a short and hard journey, but it's been great. We had a senior basketball game last night. We had referees Jamie, Dave, and Haywood, and I want to thank them. I want to thank the Laguna Blanca kids that are here. They are part of the future. I'd like to thank Kathy with Fess Parker Resort, Jerry Fall, and Mike Klan. Let's give them a hand. The two hardest workers in this town. I want to thank the godfather of Santa Barbara basketball, Bill Burka. It's the reason I've lived here 25 years right here, along with Selvig and the Burka Views. And I want to say a special thanks to Jerry West. I really appreciate you being here. I want everybody to know that this little guy right here, his name is West Figgins. He lives here. His dad's Randy. He's named after Jerry West. So let's hope you're the next Jerry West on the court, all right? Go shake his hand. And last, I just want to thank you inductees for your achievements, your love of the game, and most importantly, how you've given back to this community. And as Carrick said, it's about relationships, and we want to continue this. We have so many wonderful people in this community that have, in the game of basketball, have contributed so much. And that's why the truth is, that beautiful little girl that sang tonight, West here, we got Laguna kids here, that's our future. And you know, I want to continue to see basketball grow, because look at the amazing people here that have influenced the game and this community. Thank you all.